You wanna start? Wanna start? Wanna start? What? What?
The Deputy. That was a fun time.
The short film, The Deputy, was for a contest, a 48-hour film project out of Fargo, and this was my first time at this.
This was my fourth time competing in a 48-hour, participating in a 48-hour film, the second time that I've actually taken a lead kind of role in it.
Very intense couple of days, a lot of being tired and working through it.
It was a lot of fun. Jeremy and Jonathan and myself were part of the team and pulled in some other people for acting. And
on the trip out there, we were, just kind of debating what we could do, what the possibilities were, which were absolutely endless. I mean, obviously we had no idea the genre, we had no idea the character prop or line of dialogue, so all of that stuff was just out in the open, and it was anybody's game.
And in 48 hours, you don't have a lot of time. You got to write the script, you got to shoot the whole thing, you got to edit it, you got to bring it back, you have to do all this stuff, and it's a lot of stuff to coordinate.
We talked a lot about possible scripts, ways we could do this, that, or the other thing, but it was all conjecture, just throwing ideas out, brainstorming. It was a lot of fun, but the rubber really met the road once we got to Bab's Coffee House.
I did Western last year. I'm not too sure that I want to do Western again because it's a pretty tough genre. But we get there, so we're talking about all these different ideas and pull the genre out of the hat, and son of a gun if it wasn't Western again,
And what luck that was. We drew Western, and we had already planned on shooting out at Camp Chaminade in Motley, and I chalk it up to a divine intervention, God working on our behalf, and we ended up getting this fantastic venue and just happened to draw Western.
We got about 30-some horses out at camp, and actually some people that can ride them, and so that was a nice plus. I was actually kind of worried about getting a couple of genres myself. I think comedy would have been hard to do, and the female lead would have been tough to do too, so pretty fortunate on that. As we came up with the story, it was on the way back from Fargo in the car, just the three of us, and I don't even remember where all the ideas came from. We just brainstormed and kind of considered what we could do as far as what resources were available.
You had come up with little vignettes, actually, outline points of where the story needed to go on the way. And so Jonathan was taking those little outline points and adding the dialogue to them to give it the story and the script that we needed.
Well, I never knew three pages could last quite so long. It was hard to follow. It was one of those inside out, outside in, sideways scripts. I couldn't follow it because I'm a front to back kind of actor. And you start here and you finish here and give them something in between. But this was a genre that I'd never acted in before.
Jeremy and Jeremy have got incredibly creative minds, and they're definitely wired for doing things. And I had to see things with a lot more structure, and that's one of the reasons that I brought my laptop along to put a script together. I know last year when Jeremy did this, they didn't even have a script. They just went out, had some ideas, good ideas, shot the film, and they were done, and it was fantastic. But I don't think that I could operate that way.
Also wanted to do some things that were hard to do, so it's kind of a challenge to do, such as the hanging scene and the dragging scene of the guy as he I don't remember what he did. He crossed one of our characters and got drugged behind a horse. It was a real person. We wanted to make sure he did that.
I got to be the dead guy, and it's not as easy as you think. And I spent a days studying dead guy roles. And
so we were shooting the takes, and I went to Jeremy. I'm like, Jeremy, what do you think Tab would think if we? I really want to run them through one of the fresh horse manure piles. Jeremy's like, well, I think we shouldn't tell him. But, you know, eventually, like, Tab, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, how about this then? What about we drag you face down in it? And then, you know, at that point we knew we weren't going to do it, but there was enough manure and sticks and stuff around where we are where it definitely would have been a sight.
And then they wrapped extra rope around my hands to cover that up, so I was hanging onto that inside this loop around my hand, so it looked like the rope was wrapped around my wrist, but really I was just hanging onto it. And then just got it tight and started pulling me, and I felt a few rocks and a few bumps, but I was wearing a leather coat, so didn't really feel anything. It was pretty easy.
You know, dragging the guy behind a horse is hard, but the hanging much harder, because that's just, you know, you have to be safe.
Of course, the rope holding him up, he was standing on the stump, which, you know, I was the one who kicked it out. So he was standing on a stump. He had, from his back belt loop, he had some ropes, you know, holding him up from his back pants. So he was actually being held up by his pants, but then the rope that was around his neck was just snug enough to keep him from tilting forward.
I was able to cut the rope out in post, so you're not even able to see the rope, and that really helps sell the scene. Jordan did a fantastic job, and
from where I was, you know, when Jordan was hanging, you know, I couldn't see his face very well, so it was fun to see, you know, his his death. I don't know. He died very well. He was convincing.
If I was ever at a hanging, I don't think I'd want to see it, because we did that, and it kind of gives you the chills to just see that.
I'd heard that his mom was pretty freaked out when she saw that scene. It was a very, very real looking scene.